Coach Daboll, good afternoon. Wookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. How you doing?
Hey, Mook. Good. How are you?
Excellent game yesterday, Coach. Steph got going with his first 100-yard performance. The run game was able to produce over 200 yards on the ground. Josh was efficient at 70% completion. Just talk about the way your offense was able to dominate with balance out there yesterday, Coach.
Yeah, I think that's directly related to the team. Our guys work hard. We're just trying to improve every week. There's certainly plays that we left out there that we could get better at, and we need to get better at it. So again, early in the season, our guys are a group of guys that work really hard. They practice well, they prepare well, and you hope that translates to the game. A lot of times it does, and sometimes it doesn't. But I give credit to the players for going out there and executing.
Yes, and a lot of variety in the run game yesterday. How did Spencer Brown fit in that variety, and how much will you emphasize being consistent in the run game, knowing that Kansas City has given up, pretty much at the bottom, 146 on the ground?
Yeah, well, again, it's a week-to-week league. So you go back and you watch the teams that they've played, obviously just getting started on them, but they've played some teams that run the ball, Cleveland and Baltimore. And look, this is a good team with good players and good coaches, like it is every week in this league. And, we're starting, you start back over. You put this one to bed, win or lose, and you go through the things that you need to go through and try to correct the things you can correct and, improve on the things you can improve. And then you get started again, right about now. So that's kind of where we're at in the week.
Spencer Brown, care to talk about how he fit in that run game yesterday?
Yeah, I think all those guys. I mean, look, the offensive line, you got to have 5 guys trying to work as one. There's a lot of things that Spencer did well for us, just like all the other guys. And, there's things we got to clean up. It was his first game, really starting and finishing a game. And really like the way Spencer plays, his play style, his approach during the week as a young player, and a lot of room for growth.
Yes, sir. Appreciate your time. Good luck this week, Coach.
Thanks, Mook. Appreciate you.
Hey, Dabes. Good to see you.
Hi, Heather. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Kind of going off of that with the offensive line, we saw, some different combinations of guys, obviously with Spencer out there, Darryl moving inside, Cody not starting in this game. Do you anticipate those 5 to be out there this week, or is it something that, you're still kind of working through when it comes to the combination of your starting 5 there?
Yeah, no, I think you guys asked Sean this right before I got in here, and we're just gonna grind it out here with the guys we got and try to get better. And you're always evaluating, regardless if it's the 5 guys you're going with or the receivers. You're always evaluating every week to see how you can improve. Those 5 guys, they did a good job. We still got a lot of things to clean up.
And then what have you seen from Dawson so far this season? It just seems like his, he talked about his confidence being up and, just being, just playing with that edge there. I guess, what have you seen from him so far this season?
Yeah, he's been a guy that's improved since he's been here. He cares about it a lot. He puts a lot of time and effort and energy into preparing and practicing. And he's a great young man that, gives everything he has since he's gotten here. And, he's improved, I'd say, every single day he's been here, because he's got the right mindset. He's got some toughness, he's intelligence. He works on his craft. And, we've been talking about him since summer, I guess. He just makes it one day at a time and keeps getting better for us. And said this in the summer. I said, now I have a lot of confidence in where he's at. And, hopefully we'll just keep growing on it.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
You got it, Heather. Have a good day.
Hey, Brian, John Warrow. Sorry, I don't have my thing on,
okay,
my
bud.
video on. To go off on yeah, I've got a lot of, it's a bad face day, bad whatever. Okay. So,
okay.
Speaking of Dawson Knox, how much do you think people might have underestimated the transition that Dawson had to make from switching, from moving to tight end, and learning all the responsibilities, and are we seeing, him starting to blossom in that sense, maybe the light coming on in some ways, this year right now?
That's a good question. It's a hard position to play, regardless of the league that you're playing in, but certainly in the National Football League. And, his story is well documented, from a walk-on to a quarterback to all these type of things, to playing in a little bit of a different system. Just like a lot of college kids that come out, get drafted, or are free agents, I'd say there's a learning curve in probably every position. But really this position is, having coached it here for a while here before I came here, there's so many things that entail the responsibilities of a tight end. And a lot of times those guys get pulled in different directions. All right, we're going to meet with the run game, then we're going to meet with the pass game. You're getting less and less individual time. And, first and foremost, I give credit to Dawson to just grinding it out. He's almost here like a quarterback, how much he's here. He's meeting with Rob. He's spending extra time individual. And again, we've talked about this before. You're going to have some hardships when you come into this league. You're going to have them when you're a 10-year vet or a 20-year, whatever it may be. This is not an easy profession to be consistent on a week-to-week basis. There's a lot of things that go into it. And he's certainly done, his share to try to put him in the best possible position he can put himself into, with the, understanding that we still got a lot of stuff to clean up and be better at. But he's made significant progress, and I know he'd like to make more progress, but I think he has our trust, and I know he's got the quarterback's trust, and, we'll just take it each day. He's doing, better and better.
And as gradual improvement goes with a player, we don't see really the significant leaps and jumps. Is there a moment or a point where you saw Dawson, really come onto the scene, like where you're going, okay, maybe this is, he's got it this time. He's really getting it.
Yeah, I've never really lacked confidence in him, just because of his approach. Like, look, every play is not going to be perfect. He's a consistent guy in terms of his preparation, his practice habits. He's coachable. He's just that's what you hope for young guys that come into the league, is they just keep on making strides, whether it's from practice to practice, game to game, or season to season. And, I think that, he's done that for us.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Warren.
Hey, Brian, Sal, good afternoon.
Hey, Sal, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Emmanuel Sanders, 34 years old, has a Achilles injury less than 3 calendar years ago. What separates, and what he's doing now, what separates guys like that at that age to continue to play at that level on a consistent basis?
Yeah, it's hard to do, right? It's hard to stay in this league as long as he stayed in this league as a player and continually perform. First, it's a credit to the young man of his approach, the things he does to take care of his body. He is a tireless worker. He's one of those guys that even at 34, you got to try to pull him back a little bit, because once he's out there, he's got that dog mentality that he's going to go. So I'm not surprised when you get around veterans that have done it a long time. You try to pick up things as a coach as to why they're doing it or how they're doing it. And I've been fortunate to be around a lot of guys that have had some years of experience, and he falls right into them. Just his approach, his leadership, his work ethic, the things he does off the field to take care of his body. He's not like the biggest guy either. So, he's really got to do a good job of maintaining his strength and, his bumps and his bruises. And, he's just a pro. He's been a privilege to be around and to learn from as a coach as well. I think he's really done a good job of fitting into our room and developing a trust relationship with Josh.
I know that we know the organization, going back a couple of years, wanted to get him in, and now you guys have him. You got him this offseason. What did you think he could bring? Even going back then, why was it important to get Emmanuel Sanders specifically?
Was a good player. We thought he could help us, which he has. He's got position flexibility. He's got quickness. He's got instincts. He's got good hands. He's got a good feel for zone coverage. He can get open versus man coverage. He's been productive for a long time in this league. Those are all the things that, he's instinctive. I could go on and on about him. He's a pro. He's just, he's fit right in. I think he's really added a lot to our room.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian, it's John. Kind of going off of Sal talking about Emmanuel. Yep. Gabriel's kind of, it appears, taking a back seat and not as involved as maybe some thought he would be going into his second season. What have you seen from him, and has his lack of involvement, I guess, been more, I know he's dinged up early, or just kind of the flow of the game?
Yeah, I got a ton of confidence in Gabe. He's another young guy that's improved tremendously. You can only play 5 eligible receivers, John, as you know. So based on how the game's going and what we're doing, those 3 older receivers are our starters, and he's a backup to those guys. He can play any spot. He's done a lot. It might not be celebrated because it's not 10 catches or 5 catches, but he's done a lot. He's done a lot for our offense. I expect him to continue to do that. The numbers and all that stuff, I'm not too concerned with that, because I know when you put him out there, he's dependable. You can trust him. He's going to do his job. And I have a lot of confidence in him.
And then shifting gears, just in general, I know you watch a lot of film in the off season. How much of that is upcoming opponents? Or I guess more specifically, how much did you focus on maybe the couple games against Kansas City a year ago, and then maybe some of their other games as you look forward to the regular season?
Yeah, I think, and that's a good question. Look, the off season is it's long, but it's short. So the first thing you do is you really evaluate, your players and where you're at with your players, and then the system that you have, and you spend a lot of time on that. And, not until you really, get to the schedule and see where you're playing guys at, because you could do some team, tons of work on a team you're playing in week 14. We spend a lot of time on really all of our opponents, and you make off-season notes. You're detailed with it, and you kind of put them in a library so that when you get ready to play the team that you're playing against, you can go back and use those notes of the things that you studied in the off-season. So we do that with all those teams. So you kind of have a library of whether it's the coordinator or the head coach, whoever it may be, just to get a jump start. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done, because some of the stuff they may be doing, they might have changed the first 4 weeks. So now you have 4 games and you're going back and forth and you have a ton of information. You got to try to streamline it the best you can.
Yeah, real quickly follow up. I just was curious, because you're not going completely cold into Kansas City here. How much normally, I'm not asking specifically because you haven't gotten into it, but how much normally does change even in, 4 games? With a guy like, with a guy like Andy, who's been there and stuff.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'd say, Coach Spags, he's got a lot of defenses. So how he plays one team might not necessarily be how he plays another team. And look, you're looking at the teams. It's like we played them twice, right? So it's like playing a division, like our in division games. So certainly you're going to look at those tapes. And look at matchups and things like that relative to who they have and who you have. But you're going to, you really got to, dig back into what they're doing this year. And look, some teams change a little bit. Some teams, maybe not as much. It's kind of a game by game, I'd say coordinator by coordinator, head coach by head coach process.
Appreciate it, Daves.
You got it, man.
Hey, Brian, Mike Catalana.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good. We've talked a lot about how Josh finds his flaws, works on them, motivates them, and all that. Okay, last year, you guys lose 4 games out of 19. 2 of them are to the Chiefs. You know what it does to him. We've heard him talk about it, how he's motivated. While the team's message is always every game's the same, even keel. Is it okay if for a guy like Josh, I'm not saying it means more, but he's finds a way based on what happened last year, 2 games that you lose, that it sort of drives him and motivates him coming into a game? Or do you have to keep him in that every game's the same mode?
Yeah, we try to be, and you know this, we try to be as consistent as we can, whether we lose, whether we win, whether a certain position plays well, whether they don't play as well, whatever it may be. We try to be consistent because I've said this many times, it's legal, eat you up and spit you out if you're not consistent. Consistent with your approach, consistent with your practices, consistent with your preparation, developing a routine during the season that really suits you to be the best player that you can be. And that's where our mind's at. It's the most important game because it's the next one, and that's the truth.
But in terms of, we've seen him fired up for games. I mean, it can be almost anyone. Is that a conversation this week? I mean, it's a big game. We all know that it's Kansas City. Yeah, it's a Sunday night.
Yeah, he's played enough games. He's been in this league. He's played in our offense. He's played in enough games that, I think the minute you start changing a routine or anything like that, look, we want to go out there and do the best job we can every game. That's what we're charged with, to have a good week of preparation, try to come up with a good game plan, go out there and practice, and then, play well. But, that'd be, Josh has been pretty consistent for us. I'd say he's highly competitive regardless of who we're playing, when we're playing. I mean, we could be, playing a game of shooting a paper ball into a trash basket, and he's going to be fired up about it half the time. So that's him.
All right. Thanks.
You got it.
Hey, Brian, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. How you doing?
Good, Jay. How are you?
Good, thank you. You mentioned earlier execution, red zone. I think it's been a little bit hot and cold for you guys this year. Without trying to pin you down too much on a strategic question, can you kind of, in broad terms, maybe talk a little bit about whether that's more execution on your end and the team's end, or maybe if defenses are maybe playing you a little bit differently than they have in the past down there right now?
No, I'm always going to say it's a combination of really everything. We had some opportunities that we just quite didn't capitalize on, and give credit to the Texans. And, we go back and watch the drives, and most of them were on third down, where we had some chances, and, that's the flow of the game. Everything is condensed down there, that there's tighter windows. It usually only takes one play down there in the red zone, if you don't execute it, to result in a field goal rather than a touchdown. I know we've been down there quite a bit in terms of the number of plays we've had down in the red zone, and it's an area that we work on, just like third down and first and second down. But obviously we'd like to have more touchdowns yesterday down there, and that's something that we'll keep on grinding away at.
Knowing the opponent that you guys have coming up, I mean, obviously that's an emphasis every week in practice. Is there any way that you even put more of an emphasis on it? I mean, of course, you always want to finish drive with touchdowns, not field goal.
Yeah, I know. We try to be consistent with it, Jay, regardless of who we're playing, in terms of what we'd like to do and what our goals are and what our standards and expectations are. And those won't change. We have a level of expectation and standard that we're going to commit to and try to improve on. And, I think that's how we need to hold ourselves accountable to, is trying to do everything we can do to reach the standard. And again, you're not always going to reach that, and you got to do a good job of continuing to work on it and rep it and practice it and prep it. And that's what we're going to do.
Appreciate your time, Brian. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks, Jay.
Hey, Brian, it's Elena.
Hey, man. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Going off Jay's question there, I was just curious, Emmanuel kind of mentioned this yesterday too. You guys scored 40 points yesterday, but there's still, there was opportunities missed for field goals were kicked instead of touchdowns. Does that kind of speak to where this offense is already, that, it's a luxury to be able to be like, after a game you scored 40 points, there were still missed opportunities out there?
Yeah, and I think that's consistent with what we want to do every week, in terms of, we have a standard, we have an expectation. I think they're clear. We understand you're not going to score on every possession in this league. It's too hard. We understand that you're not going to finish every drive with touchdowns, although that's the goal. And, how can we do the things that we need to do to help us be better, really in every area? And I think, give credit to the assistant coaches and the players of, look, there's a level of consistency in terms of how we approach it on a week-to-week basis, regardless of result, which is hard to do in this league. We're judged by results, but you want to commit to a process and a way we do things during the week. And that's the standard we'll hold ourselves to. Again, I appreciate those guys, always wanting to be better. That applies to the coaches and myself and everybody on our offensive unit is, let's have that growth mindset. Let's try to dig in and look at the things we can do better on, celebrate some of the positive things that we did and acknowledge them and, really focus on some of the things that could have been better. Regardless of the result, consistency in approach, consistency in expectation, consistency in standard. That's how we approach it.
Appreciate it.
You got it.
What's up, Dabes? You brought up
Hey,
a
Maddie,
point with.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
You brought up a point with the Kansas City Chiefs defense and just Spagnuolo and how many defenses he has and how he uses them and how he likes to mix them up so many times throughout a game. So when you're playing a team like that, how do you prepare for a defense like that? And where's your balance in doing what you do best versus Josh Allen in the offense, taking what the defense gives him when you really don't know what Spagnuolo might throw at you every down?
Yeah, no, he's one of the best in the business. And, we have to really do a good job of executing fundamentals and techniques and, do our job the best way we can do it. You can prepare as much as, you can prepare and you can look at all the different looks. Certainly, it's hard to really say what he's going to do or when he's going to do it because he keeps you guessing a lot. And it's going to fall back on, again, without having game plan or anything like that, it usually falls back on fundamentals, techniques, communication, and playing together well. And, and playing well against their good players, which they have a lot of them on defense.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
That's all we have for today. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, I just like to say one other thing. I appreciate all the condolences and the cards that have been sent to me from the community on my grandmother. It really means a lot to me and my family. But there's, I get a ton of mail every day, and there's a ton of fans that send those cards out. Just great to be part of this community. I want to thank all of you guys, the media, the fans. Really means a lot.